for sure.
Oh,
if
yeah,
it's just like game one.
It's up there now. But here we go, Jin rotating over onto that blue side. We'll be banning the Taliyah first and foremost.
And let's see what Longzhu do on the red side, because on the blue side, Longzhu could kind of revise history a little bit. Consider their bans in game one on the blue side were Maokai, Galio, and they banned Caitlyn because they didn't see a Jin ban. They were able to ban the Maokai and kind of end the tyranny of the true top lane tank. Try to revert us to patch 7.13, 7.12, and to their credit, Jin went a bit too far there and had no front line at all and were summarily dismissed by BDD. But seems like there's going to be more tanks on the board in game two.
Standard bans here over on the red side. The Zac and Caitlyn. Could see the Kalista maybe
Jace.
get banned away.
Jace will probably be left open because they were able to beat it in game one, but you could understand banning it as well. Kalista the most likely ban. What do Longzhu want to do? Because get stage experience against Kalista. Nope. They decide that they want to respect Teddy, who wasn't able to play a lot of League of Legends by the end of that game. Wasn't about the Cogmore 2 items at all. Now we see So1 have a bit of fun, but Elise is the power jungler available. Elise in not working for Umti in game one, but jumping on the Elise to get jungle pressuring basically any lane. It feels like Elise is kind of the Jace of the jungle because basically every matchup looks pretty damn good for Elise.
All right, well, Umti just moving over to that one. Do we just see an early Tristana perhaps for Prey?
Seems like the priority against not Kalista is lower, but there's a chance of it, Achilles. You certainly aren't going to write it off as, instead of last picking for support or late picking support on the red side, just going to go for Thresh very early. So it seems like the read of banning Thresh in game one was smart.
It was taken away from them, so yeah, Soulflower just kind of snatching that one out from under him. Not going to give him that chance this time around, so they lock it in, and it's going to be the Rek'Sai here for Cuz as well to answer the Elise.
No Maokai yet. You wonder if the looming threat is there from either team, even though So1 doesn't really have the identity as a Maokai, but you know every team has been practicing it, even in the jungle. But for now, no visit towards it. We will see the Lovers bot lane assembled by Jin. They've played this quite a lot this season.
Zaya and Rakan coming through, so some playmaking potential there out of the bot lane, but already mentioned the Tristana. Prey has been oppressive with this in the past, and he's going to go ahead and lock it in.
Seeing a different matchup will be fun to look at. We know it wins against Kalista. It does win against Zaya as well. Any champion who wants to stand and auto attack will lose out to the explosive charge trades. Can also go super aggressive and potentially get bailed out by his good friend Gorilla and the Dark Passage. Longzhu were banning the tanks in game one, but have moved away from banning them in game two, and will try to ban away the Lucian, which has been one of the common blind picks on the blue side for Kuzan.
Rid of that. The Jax is also going to be banned away here from Khan. So Maokai still on the board.
Maokai, Galio, and Jace are really the picks here that you'll have your eyes on, whether it's a ban or a pick on either side. Those are the power picks we've seen recently recycled in a couple of different ways. Longzhu haven't committed to that identity, but neither have Jin, so kind of up in the air what we're going to see. And Jace going to be banned from Longzhu this time. So maybe we'll see a tank from Khan.
Could just see the Maokai first pick, unless he's got something that he can comfortably run into it.
Cho'Gath has been what some teams have been running into. Crazy was doing well in the lane against Maokai, but the team fight's so much more reliable for the Maokai that not sure I'm a big fan of it. There has to be a blind pick solo laner, and it seems like Jin don't want to deal with either Syndra in the mid lane or Khan in the top, and there's been carry performances from both as recently as last game.
I mean, you could just give something like the Galio perhaps over to BDD.
It'd be super standard for them as well. They've run a lot of one damage dealer comps around Galio. Galio right now for BDD is 7-1 on the season to make it 8-1.
So maybe something like the Cassiopeia here out of the mid lane for Kuzan.
Yeah, the Lucian was banned away. Anticipated pick into the Galio if it was to be selected. But Cassiopeia, like you say, is an option. Corki, some teams will run. Malzahar was a Kuro special.
Okay.
Kuro liked this pick. Okay, so we'll be going back to the Malzahar against Gal. It's been nerfed since the last time we've seen it when it comes to beam damage. Blind pick top laner required as well. Renekton can be risky because Camille could just be locked in by Longzhu, and sure, Renekton on paper beats the Camille, but more recently we've seen the Camille snowballing away with a gank, so There is the potential for Khan to go there. But yeah,
We'll go ahead and lock it
Malzahar,
in.
percentage HP damage against Galio, pretty happy. So the tank meta, we will see a little bit of Malzahar. I thought it would be Kuro, but first game from Kuzan on a pick he's played before. So Camille would need more resources in the top lane. The Rumble will be far less committal, of course, but another pick that Khan has played a little bit. Bringing back the Rumble late in the season. So not going to be a split push identity. Very much team fighting from Longzhu, which hasn't necessarily been their MO. And maybe it's just a series of putting Khan on a different foot because it was the team fight Jarvan in game 1. It's going to be more about the team fights on the Rumble in game 2.
I mean, team fights, yeah, in game 1 were pretty great, but not going to be having the likes of those Cataclysms or the Flag and Drags to help isolate and lock down targets. Needs to have those equalizers be on point because Marin, one of the best Rumbles in the world, wasn't really feeling it today.
One more small point I want to talk about is another one of the reasons why you wouldn't draft Camille in this draft is you consider they have a Tristana, and exiting out of the bot lane with a turret lane is important. If you draft a Camille, you need your jungler to play around top side to get the Camille through the early levels. Rek'Sai would probably prefer to play around Tristana's lane to ensure the early turret, and this allows the Rumble to just lane pretty happily against the Renekton and also allow Cuz to focus on other parts of the map.
All right, well, Longzhu bringing this Tristana back out yet again here for Prey, and BDD going to be looking to pad that KDA even further with this Galio that is seemingly unkillable when piloted by him. Let's see if they can close it out for another 2-0 victory here today, or if this will be a 3-game series. Let's go ahead and load onto the Rift. Jin Air fans still staying strong as we go ahead and load up. Jin Air over onto the blue side and Kuzan back on the Malzahar.
Yeah, legacy pick for him, but not a big pick in summer season outside of Kuro playing it twice, I believe. Might have been a third game that I missed along that time. Kuzan loves that hard CC in the mid lane. Lissandra, of course, one of his big picks in the past. And it has been picked against Galio, specifically because of the build path. Looking at BDD's match history, 11.7 right now is his KDA, so it seems like the 11.6 more on the money than the 12. Thanks for the fake news, OGN.
Dang it. All right, well, whatever. It's all good. Got it now. Got it situated. But you know what he did do was he broke his record for the most kills on a single player in a game so far in the summer split. And he had the former record tied with Bang at 12, so he exceeded it by 1 in game 1.
He is also 33 kills ahead of the second highest kills in the league. That's 135 coming through for Pawn, actually. So he will be facing against next week. 168 now for BDD in summer season. I wonder if we'll be sitting here in a year and a half for the BDD 1,000 kill video.
Could be. Could be very swift, but for now, Longzhu going to be looking for very aggressive early invade.
Oh, one Raptor for Galio and one Raptor for Tristana.
Yeah, nice little takeaway there.
So he has to smite the big Raptor, but notice not level 2 from that first camp, even though he killed the big Raptor.
Kuzan pushing forward, trying to get some nice early damage in onto BDD. Trades up quite nicely for now. Death Fire Touch with the Malefic Visions helps burn away at him.
Trades up good. Deadly Plumage, level 1 here from Teddy and Snowflower, trying to get that level 1 advantage.
Right back decently there with the explosive charge, but Snowflower has been taking the brunt of it. Longzhu will come out a bit further ahead here.
And I believe it's another game where it's Operation Please Survive the Laning Phase, Khan, with little to no help from Cuz. Jace banned by their own hands in the draft.
Don't want to leave that one available, even though they could go ahead and first pick it for themselves. One of the last pick for Khan, seeing that the Galio was available.
Adaptive Helm, no doubt going to be the rush for BDD, given all the refreshing damage coming through from the Malzahar. Was buffed on 7.13 and a future buff in 7.15 to become even more effective at its shutdown roll.
I was thinking of refreshing damage, as in, like, refreshing like a drink.
That's some refreshing damage from BDD in the first game.
Yes.
Well, we've kind of had a week where we've been frustrated at a lack of damage due to super tanks, so I'll take some burst when I can get it.
Probably because you're casting with Atlas.
Really? Atlas brings out the tanks?
He always gets the longer series. I guess he gets the tanks. Connecting now. Play coming through. Teddy has that ignite on him. They try to lock him down. Looks like he will be safe under the turret. In the meantime, Khan just able to go ahead and retreat with the scrap shield.
Seems like what I was talking about during the champion select was correct. The reason they went for the Rumble was because Cuz didn't want to play bots. I wanted to play around the Tristana lane pressure. That does mean that Khan is a pretty easy target in top, while Cuz is doing his best to get the Tristana and Thresh ahead. I like the lane ward here to stop him from getting back to the lane without being spotted.
He connects. He's going to go low. He goes forward with that Q, but Khan just has to use the flash to get himself out safely.
Kuzan smartly playing towards the top side where the rest of his team is.
Looking for the taunt, flashes in, lands it. Kuzan could just flash over the wall. Not going to give him much of an opportunity to do so. Chasing in is Cuz, and he comes up with the first blood.
I just love these two players who were in the Longzhu organization in spring. Cuz not on the roster, only in the roster as a streamer. And BDD as a substitute have this sort of neural link that you need as a top mid lane and jungle duo. Juggling their summoner spells really, really well. As
oh dear, grand entrance there from Snowflower. He's got the dash. Go ahead and keep himself alive.
Too much excitement there, but I think from early in the season we complimented Cuz and BDD, even when Cuz was struggling to perform overall in the team game, as having good mid lane jungle synergy, and they can fall back on that when the rest of the team has built up around them.
Yeah. I mean, Cuz, you'd have to say, pretty good argument for rookie of the split.
I mean, does he have any competition? I'm thinking about rookies in summer season, and there's not many. I guess Everate has some rookies.
I think Mike Young kind of transcends all leagues.
I was thinking of LCK.
Okay.
But I can understand that Mike Young is ever present.
I mean, Mike Young might be able to win best rookie of the split in LCK without having played here.
Daylor also could win. Oh, the meme bag.
Mike, don't call me Mike, Mike Young. Young.
Now I'm missing Joe Miller for some reason.
Bible thumb.
Kuzan does have the lockdown of the suppression in the mid lane. Depth of Helm means that Galio's not going to be the ideal target, but Rumble and Tristana will both die largely during that duration. Bit of pressure relieved from the game, but another hook hits.
Yeah, finds a connection. Just going to get a couple shots in off the explosive charge. Not going to be maximizing that damage in the meantime. Cuz is going to go ahead and start up this Ocean Drake as UMT should be spotted roaming up towards the top. They're going to be walking through that dry brush where there's a control ward. Stun coming through here from So On.
He only wants to do one thing, and that's kill people, rushing the Sorcerer's Shoes, so not focused on clear at all. BDD there to relieve pressure. They know the turret dive is likely to come. They probably know the jungler is around Drake, so UMT getting ready to go in.
Could just try to bait this one out as they will be pushing through. Khan going to get locked up. Cocoon comes down. He goes dangerously low, yeah. Will connect, and Repel will keep UMT safe, so just a couple turret shots connecting in onto So On. They were there for the setup, but just too much damage.
Yeah, BDD started to walk to mid, then walked back to top, and it felt like he was too late channeling the hero's entrance, so not able to land before the kill had already been confirmed. So picks up a bit of CS, and Cuz in position to have CS on his own in mid lane. So when it comes to creeps down to the turret, that won't happen for Longzhu Gaming, but otherwise, good job Jin Air picking up the kill.
Look, not going to connect. Still gets that explosive charge on the Teddy, just whittling away at him. And at the moment, Prey is in a very nice spot for the CS.
And at the moment, Khan is in the opposite of a very nice spot. He's in a very horrible one. Bit of a ditch. He is.
Oh, Snowflower going low. Ignite coming through yet again. Dashes away. Prey
One more
looking
auto.
for the kill. Yeah, flashes in, finds it. And now he's got the reset on the jump, but doesn't even need it because there's a dark passage.
Teddy's first thought was to walk up aggressively to try to dissuade damage, but that meant he wasn't in heal range of Snowflower. Didn't use the heal. Accordingly, this ends up being a kill in the 2v2 for Longzhu. Cuz's early gank has sort of ramifications. This is one of them, as Teddy didn't have his flash there.
And now blue buff going to get handed over to BDD. So Longzhu just kind of running away with the map. Yeah, they're going to try. Might have to see the smite come through here from Cuz. Greenwings comes out. Yeah, he does have to go ahead and smite that one away just to ensure that it doesn't get picked up by So-On.
Alrighty.
Well, this is going to be annoying now for Kuzan.
Already a nice magic resist stack, like you're saying, from BDD. Sitting on the Null Magic Mantle into the Negatron Cloak already. Merc Tread's completed as well. Threat of Kuzan is largely going to be if they can use their Elise Renekton duo top side to get some control wards down and punish someone that's not Galio. Galio's going to die real slow.
As it always has been.
It's true.
That's not news to anyone.
At least he's not as strong as he used to be. The sometimes Galio is preferable to the always Galio.
This is true. For BDD, if it's open, it's kind of leaning towards always Galio.
It's interesting that a frontline tank just never dies. Can initiate with him, can peel with him, and yet BD is largely undying on the Galio. Failed in his quest to be undying this week after dying once in game 1.
What a garbage player.
Haas is ahead of the rest of his team, but Gorilla's here too.
Still looking for it. Does have the flash, but yeah, not gonna pursue that one any deeper. Khan was a ways away, and So-On was already getting ready to collapse.
Didn't have any sort of vision in that area, so would have been smart to go too aggressive. Prey left all alone in bot lane, and with Moby boots, less relevant though.
Gorilla pushing forward here, looking for that. He drops down the box. He does have the flash available. Uses the Feather Storm. Hook connecting in, finds Snowflower. BDD will arrive, flashes in, has the taunt, and they'll take him down. Prey scoops up his second kill.
Can't get sucked into 2v2s when the Galio ultimate is available. Mistake from Jin Air thinking they could go aggressive. Teddy was chunked out, so Snowflower probably had to go in. There was really no other move there, otherwise AD carry would have died for free, but still, they continue to trade down, but on the other side of the map, it's all Jin Air. It must be worth discussing.
Kinda gotta be careful about that one. Kuzan was roaming up, looking for the play. Did use the Ghost to get there on time, but meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Longzhu will be taking out that first turret just seconds before Jin Air can heals Batman.
And as a caster, my favorite part of Longzhu is that, you know, when I start thinking about the whys, it feels like Longzhu have considered them. Why do they start drafting this way? Why the Rumble? Because they want to play around Tristana's strength in lane. We're not going to see the Tristana like we did earlier today that just laned forever, couldn't do anything because he was stymied by what happened around him on the map. In this case, the Tristana is empowered to play aggressively, to look for all-in trades, to take the early turret. And Khan on the Rumble, just like with the Jarvan, is left to pick up the piece in the top lane. And, you know, to his credit, just like in game 1, he's not down that much CS as Cuz finds Umti.
He does. Cocoon comes down.
He shouldn't go too far. He went too far.
He is. It's going to be the Nethergrass coming through, but he's got the shield. Mitigate a bit of that damage as Gorilla's pushing forward, maybe looking for a hook. But won't be finding anything.
But we just had back game after game from Longzhu where Longzhu wards out Peanuts early jungle, then plays around it and knows to where contest him. We had game 1 plans where they contested the second buff with multiple members because they knew the exact path. We saw game 1 where we knew where they wanted to play around. They executed on it so well, and now we see another game here where in different ways Longzhu always adapt to a situation, understand where they're strong and where they're weak, and very rarely do they misstep on that, as Khan is overextended, but that's because Cuz is here too.
It's going to be the 2v2 here, but Khan still taking quite a bit of damage in the exchange. Repel coming through, Umti flashing in, looking for the kill, and should be able to get it. One more Q would take him down. In the meantime, it's actually going to be So-On trading up, takes out Cousin out. BDD is overstepped, and Kuzan is coming by. Doesn't have the Nethergrass, but honestly, might not even need it. Mark Passage coming through, Malefic Vision sticking away, but BDD, he will survive, but that's still 2 kills for 0 in favor of Jin Air.
Cast a curse to a small degree here, but Gorilla and Prey are strong. So-On continues to push up, and now they're going to be defensive, looking for a pick if Jin Air get too frisky around the enemy red.
Poking forward, but yeah, would be way too risky. Could just result in another death or 2 there if they try to push forward. But Jin Air keeping themselves competitive in this second game. Just down by 400 gold. They tie up the turret count here. And just a second behind Gorilla there on that interrupt.
Even though the Adaptive Helm would have been the right choice against Kuzan and even the spider damage coming through from Umti, it is going to be the Abyssal Mask rush from BDD just to ensure that Khan, maybe he had to struggle in lane, but he will get more equalizer damage out during a team fight to make up for the fact that he's behind in CS. He's had to go on laning focus, so doesn't even have a Haunting, guys. At 13 minutes in the game, hasn't really been able to invest into it. Building a Haunting, guys, and then getting 2-man and 3-man dive wouldn't have felt too great. Longzhu again pathing around their Tristana.
Just a hair away from that connecting. Teddy not going to get locked up, and they will stave off for a little bit. It's just a little bit of turret damage comes through from Prey. Blue buff will be taken away because he's going to go ahead and keep smacking this one. Has the smite available should he need to use it, but well, didn't really need to, but he does anyway.
Umti wants to come and kill Khan again.
Well, equalizer. We'll put a halt on this turret push.
Spiderlings will tank up 3 shots, and they want to kill Khan anyway.
Just going to go for it, but this time the Cocoon is not going to connect. So just holding on to that in the meantime. Tier 1 does go down up top, and Cuz has started up that Rift Herald.
But as Janair, you have to wonder, is putting all this attention to getting a Renekton ahead and holding down Rumble with the cheapest item floor of any champion, just needs to get a bit of magic penetration, a Liandry's if possible, and then he'll be okay in fights, which Longzhu clearly are setting up around. Remember, we talked about it could have been a Camille. If you were shutting down a Camille in this scenario, Jinair's doing absolutely the right thing because you don't have the 4-1 pressure in the late game. But they drafted Rumble to allow there to be someone Jarvan-esque, to allow to buy a couple of items, team fight, but no higher expectations than that. And Jinair have still played around it as if it was a Camille, shutting down the Rumble, but the equalizer will still be there. And the strengths of the Tristana in pushing turrets and getting items ahead. An underfed Tristana, to me, is so much more relevant than an underfed Rumble. And that's all they really have achieved in just shutting down Khan so extensively.
It's helping them stay close, at least, as far as the gold is concerned here. But I do get what you're saying. It's going to be a bit of a concern when it comes down to those team fights as we go later into the game. Especially if BDD can get a fat taunt going on multiple members to set up for that big equalizer.
It's pretty hard not to get a fat taunt going as a Galio. He's got a fat AoE, and he's got another knock-up and a knock-back to be able to set it up.
Maybe if he doesn't have flash. But for now, it's going to be Rift Herald summoned in, gets the charge off, and there's going to be a couple smacks away, but overall not the greatest use. But Longzhu, you know, they just kind of wanted to force open this turret, but minion wave gets cleared out.
Khan's only level 9, so to me the experience lead is much more significant than 29 CS, as So1 has. Getting Khan a couple of minion waves and getting him to level 11, a bit of catch-up XP would certainly help that equalizer damage. But Tristana, once again, is going to be the benefactor, so giving up Rumble for the Tristana to get big, for the global gold to start to come in on the side of Longzhu, is the trade they made, and it's what we really have to keep re-evaluating of, was it worth it, really on both sides of the coin. But a game being this even against Longzhu Gaming is going to be a bit of a treat for most people, because Longzhu have decided a lot of games around the 17-minute mark.
I was going to say, everybody goes silent in the audience, waiting for the next move.
A lot of what-ifs at this point. The gold lead, you can see reflected, 1,500 gold lead in top. About a 1,200 gold lead for Prey over Teddy. Janair, 300 gold up on Longzhu. And we mentioned in the pregame, no slouches in the early game are Janair. They are third overall behind second place Longzhu in early game.
But I mean, again, this is how game one started off. It was Janair, very slight lead, couple hundred gold. A little bit of a back and forth, and all of a sudden Longzhu just took off with it all. So this is still dangerous territory to be in. Janair need to be able to grow something a bit more substantial than this.
Can always be more. That's what we learned from Longzhu when they explode games.
Oh,
here it starts.
Yeah, Hug coming through. Pop up immediately there, and Prey, he's just going to find another one. 3 kills out of the 4 going over to him. And that should be a third turret as well for Longzhu, as they will swing the gold lead right back into their favor. So, have to be careful. Longzhu just setting up for that forward vision. Sneaking into the jungle allows him to come up with that pick.
Gold lead does really balloon. Super quick in that scenario. 2,000 gold lead out of nowhere for Longzhu. Missile Mask completed on BDD. Khan does pick up level 11 pretty fast and has the Haunting guys. Now the team fights that Longzhu have drafted for are looking like they are ready to go. Areas to force team fights around. Largely going to be the Baron spawning in a minute and a half. Next Drake is an Ocean. Both teams sharing one, so the Drakes are not cooperating on the forcing a team fight side of things.
They're definitely not. Just keeping things nice and boring at the moment. So hooray for that. No more Infernals for us. But, yeah, steady as she goes at the moment here. Longzhu, I mean, one more big pick like that on somebody like could just spill over into the Baron. We saw how eager they were to start it up at about 22 minutes in game 1.
The gold has, in game 1, it was all about BED and his 5 kills. 3 kills on Tristana represents a lot of gold, and the Infinity Edge and Static Shift being completed faster than Teddy can put together 2 cheaper items. Makes sense with the gold lead we saw earlier. Longzhu playing around the Baron. It's to spawn in 20 seconds. They found that it'd be kind of a recreation of everything that worked in game 1.
It'd be really bold to try to start this up, though. This quickly into the game. So it seems like they're just going to go try to maintain this vision control lead that they have in this side of the jungle.
Especially when it's soloed Baron damage on the other 4, that it would take a long time. They're looking for a pick more so, though, and Gorilla has Flash.
For something, Hook going to come out, just a little bit below him.
Yeah, had the one tick of the sweeper giving him an idea of where his opponent was at, but no hook coming out that time. Genera happy to play this particular vision battle because Rumble is still not in a great spot against Renekton in the side lane, so at least in terms of side lanes and where it's pushing, Rumble will have to react to minions before he can teleport in.
I mean, he just now got the Haunting guys. And that Blasting Watts, he's got a little bit of damage, but it still needs a lot to be desired here for the Longzhu squad, for Khan especially. Not going to connect. Cuz just goes ahead, takes down this Scuttle Crab. As we wait for that next Ocean Drake to spawn in 15 seconds.
Longzhu will hope that the Ocean Drake is a spot to fight, but if I'm Jin Air, you're really conflicted about the fight. If you can get control wards down and it's Renekton, Elise, and Malzahar CC a quick pick, then maybe. But very deep teleport coming through, but spotted out by the side of Jin Air. You saw the defensive formation begun. That was early information that Khan was spotted in his teleport. Does mean he has to roll out of base, but good communication from Jin Air and Longzhu.
Yeah, but now big TP advantage here available for Soan and Khan. You know, in the side lane split push, he won't have a way of interrupting it outside of killing the Renekton. So this gives Jin Air a lot of room to work with around the Baron.
Yeah, the damage is actually so much from Tristana that they should be able to have Tristana solo out the rest of it after the start from Rek'Sai. They don't even give up any Baron start or Baron turn opportunity for Jin Air, and we return to normalcy. So mentioning that Jin Air probably didn't want a Drake fight. In the end, they couldn't get one, but is the Ocean to Longzhu.
But they do clean up the vision. So they at least get a little bit of a minor takeaway there. And we're still just really not getting any cooperation as Cloud Drake will be the next one to spawn.
One of those days.
Yeah. Game 1 was so much better.
I'm waiting for this one to explode into life. Not even just on the Drake front.
I mean, Game 1 ended about 7 minutes from now.
And this game could still end fast. You know, when you have a Tristana, the time it takes to explode the base goes down quite considerably, and this Tristana is accelerated from where you would expect her to be. Going back for another purchase. It's the QSS for anti-Malzahar repellent. This is where Jin Air is strongest. Around the Renekton, they built around, who also has a teleport advantage. Longzhu not grouped with their Rumble, but Gorilla fishing for hooks.
So how are you?
I'm well.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
ready for some Friday LCK.
I'm ready for some action today.
Well,
But it
I'm
seems
looking
like-
forward to the future because it's not
Seems like they're
cooperating
out
today.
of stock here. Action upsale. There's nothing.
They're back ordered.
Yeah.
Come back tomorrow.
And even then, maybe not. Maybe it's more tanks.
I mean, Longzhu can't really have too much action until they get the teleport back onto Khan, so they're in a great spot to do that. Bit of a slow push to set up bot lane, though, so the minions will be cooperating with them at least. And Khan is about 30 seconds away from TP himself. Face check by Snowflower.
Just walking in, finds Cuz, but you can see Malefic Vision's just kind of tickling the Rek'Sai at the moment.
The moment that Gorilla is really the only initiation for Longzhu lets you know that fishing for hooks is really the only pick options they have in this particular scenario, and very low percentage chance of working.
I mean, usually you fish with hooks,
It's true.
not for them.
Means they can't really force. They now have the teleport back up, and they've got very good macro. To Longzhu, they've shown with their ability to push the sideways and force objectives from just minion pressure in recent weeks. Only now is it relevant when the TP is back up.
I feel my caffeine high starting to deplete as the action continues to evade us.
Well, sadly, it's going to be a lot of vision clearing at present because Longzhu don't have engage. Rumble can't pressure in the bot lane like the Jace and the rest of the champion pool from Khan is famous for doing. They don't feel strong enough to actually make the most of the Galio and dive headfirst into the enemy jungle to put down deep vision for Khan to teleport onto. End result is just a bit of Farmville.
You know, I'm glad that I never got caught in that trap
Farmville?
with the Facebook games or like Mafia, whatever some of the other ones are. I think the only game I've ever played on Facebook was Bejeweled.
Bejeweled, man, eh?
Yeah. And that was, I don't even know, end of high school.
I can't even remember what Facebook games I played because it would have been around the release of Facebook. So I joined in 2006.
Yeah, years ago.
I joined before you could join as a non-university student, non-college student.
The classic days.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And you know, I will say, when I initially heard about, perfect segue, The Social Network as a film, I was really just like, I can't believe that they're actually making a movie about it. And it turns out it's one of my favorite movies. Probably because David Fincher.
Sure.
And Trent Reznor.
Good performance as well.
Worked out quite well.
Come on, Longzhu. Give us the fight we're looking for.
Even Jin Air give us the fight we're looking for. Somebody. Kuzan, just go flash Nether Grasp.
Come on, Snowflower. You're the one. You're the one who can engage here. ARAM's it's a bit of ARAM as if it's tanks, but it's more about pushing minion waves in and out and looking for a small advantage. Right now, no control wards in the inventory from Longzhu, so if the ones that are put down are cleared, that's a big problem for them. So they're very much trying to keep the minion wave pushed more than 50% past the midpoint of mid lane, because otherwise they can't really defend their control wards very cleanly. Gorilla goes and gets 2 more. He needs his control wards.
Well, Jin Air pushing forward. Got some minions, and then BDD ruins it all.
Zaya's piling on the items. It was Crit Cloak as the last purchase working towards the Infinity Edge. Kind of being gifted items, given that the laning phase was so horrible for Teddy and Snowflower after the constant attention of Cuz and Prey and Gorilla playing aggressively. Because Prey halted his build to build a QSS that hasn't been relevant, because there hasn't been any hard engage in the past 5 to 10 minutes. Teddy is catching up on the damage front.
He's getting there. Get that IE completed.
Don't spot the vision here, so there is information for Jinna that's starting, and teleport's already channeled.
Yeah, TP's coming in from behind the pit, over by the red buff.
They could just chase onto him as a 5-man unit.
I mean, they could just try to go ahead and lock him down, as you say. Goon connects in onto Cuz. Hero's entrance help keep him alive. Not going to get much of a pop-up, and Snowflower goes in deep, and he is going to go down as Prey finds yet another kill. Fourth of the game, I do believe it. Teddy is just burning alive. Nethergrass goes down onto Khan.
It's Prey.
He stays alive, has the Zodiacs, and Prey is just resetting all over the place. Explosive Will charge will go off. A triple kill over to him. Can he get the quadra? The answer is going to be no. BDD scoops that one up for himself as Umti makes it out on the other side of the pit, but Prey is still on the hunt, jumps over, and he should be going down. Death sentence to lock him into place. He's going to get popped. Delayed quadra kill, I do believe, there for Prey. BDD coming back in with the TP. That's Baron over to Longzhu.
And ironically, we were waiting for the action, but So1 completing his teleport is what baited the action to come in, Achilles. Both these teams were more comfortable kiting back, especially Longzhu. Only really had Gorilla for engage, but the situation engaged itself in many ways. So1, if he cancels his teleport, would have been too far out and was worried about the Baron being rushed. We saw so many hooks go wide that it felt like the action would never come. But Longzhu, as 5, try to chase down the Renekton. They think they've caught Cuz in transition, but the hero's entrance is there, the box is there, there is no threat onto Prey. He gets hopping mad, and that means people are going to start dying on the side of Jin Air.
Yeah, and then they think that they have this big opening to get rid of Khan, but the Zhonya's is there to keep him alive, so they all turn back around rather than exiting to try to complete that kill, and in the end, it's just going to be the quadra, delayed one over to Prey, plus now the Baron and Longzhu are going to be accelerating this game.
And what did we say? Longzhu's comp is built for team fighting. Jin Air was so dogged in not giving them a team fight for the longest time. Longzhu get the team fight happily. They have the QSSs, like you say, the Zhonyas, to disengage going down early in the fight for Khan, and now the Baron is achieved. And Baron power plays have been the bread and butter of Longzhu gaming.
Yep. For good measure, they go ahead and pick up that Cloud Drake as well as they start pushing in, looking for these inner turrets. Mid lane, 4 members collapsing in, just going to have to be surrendered.
Breaking the base is what Longzhu will be shooting for, but still could be some delayed tactics from Jin Air. But now it's just the easy objectives. Here's entrance back off cooldown, still the chance that we'll see some Rambo shenanigans from Longzhu. Have been so controlled this game by their standards.
Prey's got to be careful. Explosive charge goes off under the turret, so gets the aggro, takes quite a bit of damage there, especially from the Malefic Visions coming through as well. But BDD in the meantime, he's just going to go ahead and Justice punch a turret.
1 kill away from Legendary as Prey, but only has Warlord's Bloodlust for lifesteal in this game. So
uppercut, whatever it is.
Uppercut's fine.
Yeah, the uppercut.
Explosive charge. First one gets the AoE, gets a bit of chunking. Okay, Renekton.
Comes in, plays back, forces out the dominance, keeps himself alive.
Oh, just to keep them off the turret.
Yeah, BDD just joining in from the mid lane. Does go dangerously low, but it seems like they will still be able to go ahead and break this inhibitor turret line. Maybe even just take the inhib as well. So1 getting healed back up to full as Prey fires away. Be a bit dangerous for the overstay. Flashes away from the grand entrance, keeps himself alive, and the dark passage is there to drag BDD out. TP will be canceled by Khan, which means he has to run back. So Longzhu.
There's not going to be a real chase from Jin Air, though, Achilles. Not a serious one anyway. The quickness was already down from Snowflower, so Rumble can just go pick up the minions in top. Prey knew his summoners were up, his QSS was up. He's got a bit greedy, but still picked up the bot lane inhibitor. So on their first Baron, once again the Baron buff power play represented mid lane inner, bot lane inhibitor turret, and the inhibitor going down. And there's still a little bit of duration left.
That's a pretty good checklist.
Well, we've seen some teams that need 3 Barons to close a game, and it does not take Jin Air, does not take specifically Longzhu more than 2 Barons to close a game.
I was going to say historically Jin Air is one of those teams.
This season, they've been better. But
yes,
you're right, we
yes.
have seen 3 to 4 Baron games from Jin Air, as recently as that famous Yasuo series.
I still have to go back and watch that one. It happened while I was in China. But,
you missed a barn burner.
I heard that some words were said.
There were some strong language.
It's got everything that you could possibly want.
Do you at least know what the yakety sax are?
Of course I do.
Okay.
You and I have referenced it many a time.
There you go. Well, then you know everything you need to know.
Yep. Yakety sax, Benny Hill theme, whatever you want to refer to it as. But Longzhu just exploding in onto the game, 9-3, now stretching over a 7,000 gold lead here above Jin Air.
We'll stretch their game lead
I mean,
to 6 games clear of the next, so head-to-head is only the 3rd tiebreaker in Korea. The game score is the 2nd tiebreaker, so they win their matches. They are guaranteed to be first place in the regular season. If they go even, their game score is so strong, they're in a good spot. So as long as they're not 2-0 at any point, odds are on Longzhu actually being first place regular season team.
Yeah, that's their future games, not this game, just so in case anybody was going to get confused and thought.
Equalizer once again used to zone.
Yeah, just going to go ahead and push them back. So Khan very much having a better performance here on the Rumble, despite the really rough start with all of the visitations that he got from MT. He's having a much better game than we saw from Marin.
Where did this Longzhu team come from? Because when it comes to
I don't know, man.
Analysts like me, they're kind of a godsend to Kilios, because normally it's SKT, who you know exactly what you're going to get, and that hasn't been the case for us in summer season. Getting excited about any other team just ends up being painful, because you get one-off games from Samsung KT where suddenly they don't play their same cell, suddenly they throw in the mid-game. I love watching Longzhu because they know what they're doing. They know what their win condition is. They play around Tristana so they can take down turrets, and then the moment they get Baron, everything flowed from the moment that Cuz focused around bot lane while Khan lost the minimum and top, and we were going to revisit that question of, is holding down Rumble going to be an actual win condition for Jin Air? I was skeptical about it, and you can see very clearly that it hasn't really achieved anything in the grand scheme of this game, and somehow, Khan is ahead in CS.
I mean, the thing that I just love the most about this Longzhu squad is that they didn't really have to swap anything around like we've saw from them in the past. You know, they basically had an A squad and a B squad that they would just flip between back when the likes of Coco was on the squad in the mid lane. But instead, it's just been this roster starting things off. They've had success, and they haven't felt the need to swap in the likes of Rascal, Justice, Jin, and Zeus. But these guys are still on the roster. They're still, waiting for their time to shine, but it just seems like it's not going to happen because Longzhu are just doing so well with this unit.
And ironically, probably the reason why we didn't see subs is the only guy you would have considered subbing at the start of the season was Cuz, and he's the only player they didn't have a substitute for.
That's true.
They trusted in a true rookie trying to Royal Road his way to a championship in his rookie season. Started off weak, but he needed time. Was one of these rank 1 solo queue players just like BDD who needed time. He was afforded the time and has been so much better in the second round robin, and as a unit, Longzhu have lost precious few games in the second round robin, so the confidence there, just like Umti's re-emergence on Jin Air, he's been able to never really have as pronounced a drop-off in performance with his team being so strong around him, and then it's just superstars really in every other role, Achilles.
That's going to be the engage as they just go straight in on to Prey, and they delete him. Kill going over to Umti now, looking for more Gorilla, get a flash away. Still has the sanctity of this mid-tier 1 turret to hide under, but without Prey, Jin Air could just turn their sights over onto that Baron.
Yeah, so much focus fire on Prey dies. Doesn't matter how much damage reduction or the Mercurial Scimitar. Jin Air walk over to Baron. Cuz is alive, but Umti's actually a level ahead, and it seems like Longzhu are going to make the controlled play of just trying to swap objectives.
But do they even have enough time? This Baron is about to go down. 2 members staying in here. So will finish it off, and the rest of Jin Air is rotating over towards that Elder Dragon.
It's actually healing while he's doing damage. It was going up for quite a while there.
Okay, well, here we go. They only got it down to about 5,000 HP, and Jin Air, they could just take this as well. Seems like that's going to happen, and suddenly the game is not in Longzhu's hands.
Stacked buffs for Jin Air, so for the next 3 minutes or so, like you say, they're going to have to slow things down.
Oh, dear.
The outer mid lane turret will go down. The inner mid lane turret will go down as well, most likely. First, they're going to recall and spend their gold. Will that be the pivotal moment to rewrite what was looking like a clear 2-0 for the side of Longzhu?
I mean, it could be. The Baron empowered recall got Soan back to the inhibitor in time to keep this alive from those super creeps that were pushing in. And it's just that one pick on Prey, and suddenly everything that we were talking about has to be questioned. The gold lead is dangerously close, and we're hitting that point where it's not even going to matter for much longer.
Let's watch the replay. Prey, once again, feels empowered to walk up. First, the quickness, early cleanse. We've seen Deft caught during the quickness grand entrance. This time we see Prey caught. That meant no one was going to interrupt the Malzahar ultimate. No one could peel him away. Good stuff from Jin Air, and from Snowflower in particular. Finally, he got his man.
Yeah, and I mean, even with something like the Mikhails, there was just really no way for Prey to get out of that. There was just way too much CC being chained together to lock him in, just not giving him a single opportunity to get out. So it has to be that much more careful moving forward if Longzhu still wants to close this out with the 2-0. But for now, Jin Air's hopes are still very much alive.
And Jin Air's hopes are also gated around instant killing. The previously 7-0, now 7-1 Tristana. 6 items are completed for Prey. The tanky front line is confirmed as well. Has Mercurial Scimitar up and couldn't even use Summoners when he died.
I mean, they're just going to go ahead and push forward, just chip away at this turret a little bit longer, and they will have that. I'm not sure if Khan can do much to stop so on the bottom lane either. Yeah, they are tying things up, and there you go. They swing it into their lead now.
So Longzhu certainly aren't out of the piece at all. They're not going to be able to break the base with this Baron buff power play, you would imagine. About a minute left in it. Jin trying to flip the script. Trying to stop the the Longzhu love in and force us to a game 3. Unclear if they've done enough to make that happen, but you find a way to repeat the pick onto Prey, and Longzhu just don't have the damage to win a team fight.
Yeah.
Now, Prey is not going to be as far up after that. That's definitely the warning shot that Longzhu have not inked this game 2, and unfortunately for us as viewers, we'll probably return to what we saw before Achilles, where the low engage from Longzhu is going to stop them from being able to push forward because they have enough turn and pick power to turn off a Baron, to turn off an Elder Dragon, but both are off the map for a very long time. So that will mean 6 items going the way of Teddy, who's only short of the Mercurial Scimitar now at this point. It'll mean probably a much more competitive final fight. So Longzhu have basically extended this game, we imagine, by 7 minutes, unless there's a big mistake from Jin that gives Longzhu the fight they're looking for.
But I mean, right now Longzhu doesn't even really have the total vision control that they need to try to pick somebody off here. They're also just getting pushed in because the Baron buff is still here. That sentence goes out, but it's not going to connect, and another turret goes down in favor of Jin. That's all of the inners taken.
I mean, every time you see Jin in the mid lane grouped as 5, there's no way for Longzhu to really force a fight. It's suicide at this point to dive in alone, even with damage reduction from the Galio ultimate. You will likely give up your front line fast, and then it doesn't matter how many kills Prey has if he can't free auto. So when you play the mid lane force style, which the Baron buff and the Elder Dragon stacking together has afforded, it really does feel like the game is intentionally delayed by Jin until the 3rd Baron is on the map.
The buff has expired now. So Longzhu, knowing this, will just go ahead and start pushing forward, laying down some vision, trying to create some pressure inside the base. They still do have that open inhibitor in the bot lane that they can try to target out, but instead they're going to be bringing up the wave in mid.
No adaptive helm yet from BDD. I thought it might be a rush item, but he went Abyssal Mask like he has previously. Tried to throw a bone to Khan, who really had a rough laning phase, and they wanted to get the most value out of the magic damage from the Rumble, who, to his credit, has a death cap now, so
he's in a good spot.
Has put together 5 nice items, but no adaptive helm means that, okay, is he still largely unkillable against a Malzahar? Certainly, but the adaptive helm gets a lot of value against both Elise and Malzahar. May just be a 6th item, but I don't know if that's impacting the positioning. At the end of the day, Prey is level 18 Tristano, the longest auto attack range short of Biocane Barrage in the game. So he's trying to feel strong enough to poke forward, but doesn't want to repeat the pick from before. Speaking of picks,
the engage going through Cocoon does land. Cuz gets chunked out to about half HP. In the meantime, Khan being focused out here by Someone, takes a hell of a lot of damage and feels forced to flash away. Now BDD looking for it, but flash away will take Umti out to safety. No one going down on either side, but Longzhu definitely going low.
Preferential trade for both teams almost, because you get Snowflower's flash down and BDD's flash, so the true engage from both sides is now predictably going to be a bit more limited. Suddenly it becomes a battle of vision again, Achilles, because now it really is going to be the short-range turn CC or the turn-off Baron. So positioning around Baron with the relative safety of the flash being down on the AoE engages ramps up, and we're already running into the territory where there is limited item spots. Notice that Jin are able to put together multiple control wards, and we're already at the point where BDD is prioritizing a Ruby Crystal over control wards, and that means more limited vision for Longzhu game.
I mean, they have 9 control wards in the inventory right now for the side of Jin. Hook comes through, they do find Someone. He doesn't have a flash. Can they get the kill, however, is going to be the question. Plenty of shielding comes through to keep him alive. They'll get knocked below half, but they still can't find it. Force him back to base likely, but he's got the TP. The Baron is coming up now in 20 seconds, so he can still rejoin.
Budget vision control from the Rex site, and a single control ward can be placed from Gorilla. The Ruby Crystal might actually be a relevant thing, Achilles, that BDD picked up instead of control wards. We've criticized players many times for similar moves. Doesn't go the team route, and that means that Longzhu have very little control around the Baron. And it's going to try and force it, though. This is one way to force the enemy to come to you.
It's going to be the do or die time here. Control ward not in the pit. The hook comes down to the Swan yet again. They flame in. The box falls. Cuz going up into the front line will go low. The Nethergrass bound onto him, but the hero's entrance is there to keep him alive. Now Kuzan going low, has to flash away as BDD cheats forward. Takes a hell of a lot of damage, and he's going to be the first one that falls. Umti finds the kill, so Jin coming out on top. Longzhu are going to have to try to retreat back over to the base, but Jin are bringing up the minion wave in mid.
Yeah, Longzhu had to turn because they didn't have the vision behind the pit to be able to evaluate how to stop it. And then they fought away from Prey. Prey was fighting onto the Renekton. No one else was. Jin is going to barrel down mid lane and take this mid lane inhibitor.
Yeah, there's going to be nothing that Longzhu can do to stop this in time. They find that everything that they did to try to take out Sohan completely negated. He TP's back in. Now Jin very healthy outside of Kuzan. Just going to start rotating over towards this Baron.
BDD has teleport of his own. Respawns in 25 seconds. Predictably, Jin going to run straight onto Baron. There's already a control ward down for Jin.
They have so much damage to be offered up. Look at this thing just absolutely melt without a Mountain Drake. Cuz going to go into the pit, tries to get it, but he does not have the steal. Will make it out the backside of the pit, but now, yet again, Jin has a Baron buff to try to close out the game with super creeps in the mid lane.
The team fighting comp was relevant at 30 minutes, but now we're getting to the ultra late game. And if Prey and the rest of Longzhu can't force down the first member, they start running out of damage. And a person like Teddy, who should not have been a relevant damage dealer in this game, has gotten to the 6-item mark because of Prey's overextension in mid lane. It was very much a Prey giveth, Prey taketh away. Now we're in that awkward scenario where, again, Longzhu can't put down much vision control. They still only have a single person with control wards, and we're getting to that point with Jin as well. But Longzhu gonna, I imagine, just start up the Elder Dragon and try to force a fight again.
I mean, yeah, 1 minute on the clock before we see that spawn. And that is gotta be Longzhu's win condition right now. Get that true damage coming through from the triple buffs that they do have. Still 50 seconds away. They start pushing through, looking for wards to clear out.
Hell used.
Baron empowered minions being pushed forward here.
Things are so tense. Crowd has been largely quiet, as when it comes to teamfight action, we have been denied that for the majority of 46 minutes. But the next teamfight surely must decide the game.
We'd expect so for either side.
The minions still pretty far away from the mid lane, so if Longzhu want to fight, they have an opportunity to. Cuz is spotted.
Yeah, a little bit of room to breathe, but like you say, spotted out by that sweeper is Cuz, so can't have that flanking position. Has to play a bit closer to the base anyway. Jin will peel back, but this is going to give them a fast track onto that Elder Dragon.
Spawns in 10 seconds. They will not be moving. They want to try to stop Rek'Sai, but now realize there's a lot of artillery behind the Rek'Sai.
They also realize just how much damage they have.
Tristana is actually way back in the mid lane, so it's going to take a while to group.
Haven't started up yet. They're just trying to poke out, trying to whittle away at Cuz.
Free damage onto Cuz. Prey trying to kill the mid lane minion wave before they turn onto the fight.
All right, well, the Elder Dragon getting leashed out. Prey chunking out the minions where he can. Really? Using the death sentence onto the dragon.
No Flower has flash up. He has a lot of threat onto Prey.
Prey is taking this at the moment. Redemption coming down here from the side of Longzhu to go ahead and top themselves off. Have to approach this one so carefully if they want the win, but the dragon is leashing back into the pit.
So tense at the 47-minute mark. We're waiting for the first skill shot to hit, maybe even the smite. It might decide it.
It's a massive wave pushing up into the top side. Cuz is going to go in. Equalizer gets dropped, but it's not really hitting anybody. But it's going to be Gorilla, the first one to fall. They're able to trade back. They get rid of Kuzan, but they need so much more than this. Khan trying to retreat. Will be taken down as Teddy just goes ahead. Takes him out. The double kill going over to him. BDD desperately trying to retreat with the Justice Punch. Seems like he might make it out with his life, but that is still 3 members dead on the side of Longzhu and might just be the game. We'll go ahead. We'll make it 4. BDD goes down. It's just Cuz, but the super creeps are in the base. They're empowered, and they will win this game too.
And it looked like an inevitability for Longzhu. We've seen it so many times before, but one mistake from Prey punishes them, and Jin forced them to game 3.
so very close. Longzhu, that slow mid-game, not going for any engages, not really having a way of finding them. They finally get a lead, and then Prey getting caught just throws it all in the trash.
And people will look at the draft and say, why? Why the low engage? But remember that Longzhu were very far ahead when they were following their win conditions, when they were playing around. Prey was at 7 kills and so many items, close to 6 before Teddy had put down at 3.5. But the moment they made a single mistake that they haven't previously on Jace comps, on other hard-to-execute early game comps, Jeanette did have that window they could crawl back through. Crawl back did they